Shalom, buddy. I'm good. How are you? Aaron, can you pray me in? Amen. All right. Good morning, family. So I'm going to give my testimony this morning. I believe not even half of the people in the room have heard my testimony, and I just wanted to be transparent with you guys to kind of we can relate. I've been in these same chairs. I've been in the mission. I've done some of the same things you guys have done, and I'm still in the process of growing and seeking the Lord, just like each and every one of you guys. So I was born and raised in Salem County, right around here. Not much going on. Have a mom who was just spirit filled, always the type of mom that just prayed for you. And I believe some of her prayers is what carried me through the early parts of my life. Father was involved in my life from the beginning, but Pop was a Rolling Stone, if you know what I mean. I remember being a young kid, and there were times where he had this bike with a little basket on it, and I had to be about 3 or 4, and he just put me in the basket, and we just pull up to this random lady's house, and I'm in there watching TV while he goes upstairs, and I'm like, that ain't right. Like, we just left my mom's. So, needless to say, him and mom weren't together much longer after I was born, probably like 6 or 7. So, mom wanted a father figure in my life, or someone to be in my life to kind of mentor me, because as we know, moms do their best, but moms aren't men. So you need some things from men to help you grow and to become a man. So what my mom decided was to put me into to Boy Scouts. She figured a group of men, positive men, encouraging, that'll like kind of build me up and prepare me for life ahead. Well, it actually worked out the complete opposite, because I was molested in Boy Scouts. So that's something I held on to for a long time, and it's not something that I usually shared in my testimony until I came back, because the Lord said, you know what, I'm gonna turn everything for my good. Like, I want you to share that, because there may be somebody going through that very same thing that is afraid to talk about it, afraid to get it out. So I want you to share that, because you may be able to bless somebody else through your testimony. So I have begun to share that, and I'll get back to that later on in my testimony. But on summers, as a young kid, my mom would send us up to her sister's, which was up in Sicklerville, and her kids were always active in sports and things like that. So we went to one of my cousin's track and field practices out at Overbrook High School, and they're like, "Hey, do you wanna? You just sitting there? Do you want to join in a practice?" So I'm like, "Absolutely." So I started practicing with them, and then I was beating all the kids on the team. So the coach was like, "Where do you live?" And I told him where I lived, and he's like, "Is there any way you could kind of move in with your aunt for the summer and run for a track club?" And that's exactly what I did. So I started running track in the AAU circuit when I was around 8 years old. And that was really something that I found passionate. It's something that I liked. And I was just naturally fast. Like, other kids were working out like 10 times as hard as me, and I just get on the track and run. And that's a blessing that came from God. I will find out later that it doesn't only take natural ability, but you do have to work at it when you get higher in the ranks. So I continue to run track for all throughout elementary, middle school, and it was time to go to high school. So I went to middle school in a town called Pennsgrove. But when it was time to go to high school in Salem County, and most counties nowadays in New Jersey, they have a VOTEC program. And what they do is they sponsor individual academies at different schools. So they had a graphic arts and multimedia technology academy that I was interested in, but it was only housed in Pennsville, New Jersey. So I would have to go to Pennsville High School. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with Salem County, but Pennsville was it was different. I'm coming from Pennsgrove, where there was like a good mixture of diversity. So when I got to Pennsville, and I realized that I was one of like 4 black kids in the whole high school, it was rough. That was one of the first major challenges in my life that I just felt like I wasn't going to make it out of. I stayed only because my guidance counselor, my mom, I was called any kind of name under the sun, was belittled, um, and it was just and then now I look back on it, it wasn't the kids, it was the way they were raised, because no one's born like that. So Long story short, I just continued to just press in. I started running track there, and they're like, "Oh, this kid is fast." By my junior year, I went from the kid that like nobody even paid attention to or talking stuff about to now I was on homecoming court. Now I was on prom court. I'm like, okay. So God really worked in that area of my life, and I really seen like him show up in there because, like I said, I have a praying mom, and she prayed because I was on the brink of just saying, you know what, I give up. And she said, "No, you're not going to give up because that's exactly what they want you to do. You got to face this thing head on." And that's exactly what I did. And towards the end of it, school was great. Like I don't, it changed. Their hearts changed, and I just thank God for that. I ended up my senior year. I got a couple of scholarships. A lot of colleges were interested in me. I narrowed it down to two schools: Howard University down in D.C. and Fairleigh Dickinson University, which was up in Teaneck, New Jersey. After weighing my options, I would get scholarships to both, but it made more sense to me to stay in state, where I would get like basically a full ride. So I ended up getting accepted into Fairleigh Dickinson University in their radiology program. That was a lifelong, I've always wanted to be in the medical field. So I said, you know what? They got a radiology program. It's competitive. Let me apply. I got in. So I get up to school, and it's probably about the first week of classes. And if any of you guys have been to college, when you're on a sports team, it's kind of like you're in like a clique or something. I don't know what they do. So we're all just like chilling in the cafeteria. The coach comes up to me. She was like, I don't know how we missed this, but you're a radiology major, and there's no way you can be a radiology major and run track because you won't be able to go to your clinicals because of track practice. And I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to do? She's like, you could either lose your scholarship and continue radiology or keep your scholarship and change your major. When I tell you that crushed me, because at that point I couldn't do anything but clinical. So that means medical field was out, and I'm in college for something that that's like the rest of my life. And they're telling me that I got to change my major. So that was disappointing. I ended up going undecided. Continued to run track. We were in the NEC conference, so I got rookie of the year, or not rookie of the year. I'm sorry, rookie of the week a couple of times. I did really well, and it was that like I was referring to earlier, when I was just going off of natural ability. When you get to college running against D1 athletes, it takes more than just natural ability. So I really had to press in and grind and work out and things like that. The weight room, which I was like, I don't need the weight room. Long story short, I ended up doing really well. It was my sophomore year. I was hanging out with my roommate, and he offered me to go hang out with his boys out in Patterson. So you guys know South Jersey, and you know North Jersey is a whole different ball game. So I'm from down here. I go up there, and everybody, oh, I need my Timbs, I need my Jordans, I need my big old fluffy down coats and all this. So materialistic, so materialistic. And I got sucked right in. So we start hanging out in Patterson. And mind you, I'm an athlete. I've never smoked. I didn't drink or anything. I get to college, start hanging out in Patterson, start smoking, start drinking. And all of a sudden, I'm not showing up for track practice. I'm not showing up for class. And it got to the point where I remember my track coach coming to my classes that I was supposed to be in looking for me because, mind you, I'm on scholarship. Like I'm getting funded to go to school to run track, and I'm not showing up. So um, it got a little rough. And then also with that crowd from Patterson, they did this thing called, I guess you would consider it scamming. They would like use other people's credit cards to just buy this and buy this. They're like, oh, do you want to learn how to do it? And mind you, my mom tried her best. We had the necessities. We had the clothes, we had the food. She tried her best. I just wanted more. I was in North Jersey. I want to be like them. I wanted to be a follower. So I needed the Timbs, I needed the Jordans, I needed the big jackets and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, teach me how to do it. So they taught me how to do it. I am, let's say, not the best when it comes to like being sneaky and stuff like that because I said, oh, let me try it. I took my roommate's credit card, went to Wilson's Leather, bought all this stuff, come back to my dorm room, hang it in the closet. He gets the receipt, like Wilson's Leather. I didn't go, looks in the closet. Long story short, just so dumb. But you know what? Like that's for a reason. Like everything works works out. I ended up getting what they call put on a conditional discharge, meaning that if I did well on probation, paid my little fines, restitution, I'd be fine. It'd be off my record. But at this time of my life, it was kind of, I was living a life like it's my world and everybody else just lives here. Like I didn't care about anybody else. It was only my way or the highway. So knowing I'm on probation, not doing well in school, I said, you know what? I'm out of here. I had a friend moving to Memphis. Hey, you want to come? I'm down. Moved to Memphis, not even supposed to leave the state without telling my probation officer. But not only did I just leave, I just moved there. I get a call about a year and a half after living in Memphis. My mom's like, hey, you got a warrant. So I'm like, all right. So I flew back to Jersey. Still, I was like, I'm going to address the warrant, but in my time. So my mom was at the bank one day. We're sitting in the car and she's on the phone. I'm like, Mom, I think you should go in the bank. We just look suspicious. You're out here on the phone. She's like, oh, boy, shut up. We all right. So after like 10 minutes, she goes in the bank. A cop pulls up. He asked me for my license, registration, all that. I give it to him, knowing I got a warrant. Well, it didn't show us. He's like, all right, my system's down. Gives me my stuff back. I'm like, all right. He's like, oh, our system's back up. Let me get that back. Finds the warrant. So I ended up getting arrested, go to Salem County Jail because I was down in Woodstown. Get booked, everything. In the room, I was only in there for about like 5 or 6 hours. It was like, all right, Howard, roll up. You're out of here. I'm like, wow, somebody did something. So they take me, I get dressed, and they're like, all right, these are sheriffs from Bergen County, which is where the incident happened. So I wasn't getting released. I was just getting transferred up to where my charges were. So I ended up going to jail up in Bergen County. And when I tell y'all, like, it only took me one and done. When I went to jail and I looked around, I'm like, yo, this is not for me. Telling me what to eat, and I'm not eating that. Like, I only ate fruit the whole time. I'm not built for this. And never went back to jail. That was just my, I guess you call it scare straight. Nope, I'm not going to jail. You're not telling me when to do this. I'm not getting in that shower. No, I'm not doing it. So long story short, I never went back to jail. Ended up paying off those fines. But the addiction continued and it got worse. On top of the drugs and the alcohol, a very close family friend had introduced me to crack cocaine. And that was something I swear I said, you know what, I'm never gonna shoot up, I'm never gonna do crack, I'm never gonna do none of that. But you don't know what life throws at you. Cause I'm sitting there, next thing I know, peeking out the window and hearing all these noises, and I'm like, man, now I'm gonna fall on, I guess you I ain't gonna call myself a crackhead, but I was smoking crack like it was nothing. That turned into, but through all this, I still kept a job. You know how sometimes you can just function, and I was just functioning the whole time. I kept like great jobs. I had this job at Delaware Valley Floral Group, which was one of the largest flower distribution warehouses on the East Coast. They supply like all the East Coast florists with their flowers. I worked there for multiple years, and I had one of my coworkers, a girl. She had hurt her back. She was like, "You do Percocets?" I said, "Absolutely not." She was like, "Here, I'll give you one for free. Just try it." Tried it, threw up everywhere. She was like, "Oh wow." She was like, "I guess you don't." Week goes by. She's like, "Here, try another one." Took it, didn't throw up, and then just got like this feeling. It was just like everything was bright, and I'm like, oh, I like this. So now I'm addicted to the Percocets. This went on and on. This cycle went on for probably a couple of years until I kind of went to my family. I said, listen, I got a problem because it got unmanageable. And they sat me down and we had, like you see on TV, we had an intervention. And my uncle had came through the program of Mission Teens, so that's how we knew of Mission Teens. So I called Mission Teens, and this is when Taylor and Julie had just gotten up here, probably that same year. I got here, did my application, and they said, we don't have any beds, but here's a list of other missions that you can call. And me still not in my right frame of mind, I'm just looking at the list, and I literally thought I was going on vacation. I'm like, oh, y'all got Savannah, y'all got Fort Lauderdale. I'm looking at all the hot spots like I'm going on vacation. But you know, the Lord has a sense of humor because out of that whole list, I ended up in Sawyersville, Kentucky. And if y'all know anything about Sawyersville, Kentucky, it is the complete opposite of Savannah, Fort Lauderdale. You in the middle of a mountain, and it's country. I ended up staying there for about 2 months, and then I transferred up to New Jersey. They had a bed here, so I ended up transferring here. And when I tell you, I went through the same stuff y'all going through, probably a little bit worse. I brought a cell phone back on my weekend, got caught with that. I've been on any kind of ban you can think of. I used to bash the mess out of these staff members when I was in here. They don't know nothing. Like they think they're this, they think they're that. So I know as a staff member, I know y'all be talking junk. But you know what? I did I did the very same thing. And you know what? The cycle repeats. But then I had to mature and realize that these people were placed here by God and they're still continuing to grow and mature and they're volunteering, taking time out of their life to help us. Like, how could I be so selfish and judgmental? So I got that revelation when I came through the first time. So I did my 8 months. It was time to graduate, and I was asked to stay for staff. And then the excuses came. It was, oh, I want to get back to my family. I got to go work. I had every excuse in the book. And you know what? Every excuse in the book took me out. I graduated. I did graduate, but I left. And I did well. Like I had to start my life all over again. I ended up getting a job at Wendy's where I lived and worked there for a couple of months. So I was able to get a car. And then I went to a temp agency to try to find something better. And it's amazing how the Lord works because the day I went in, they were only looking for one person to work a warehouse job. So they're like, "Do you want it? We only need one person." I'm like, "Of course I want it." So they're like, "All right, show up the next day, steel toe boots, dress for warehouse work." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take it." So they give me the address. I show up the next day and I show up to this beautiful glass building. And I'm like, all right, this can't be the warehouse. It's a glass building. Come to find out, I was working at a corporate warehouse. And the warehouse was just this, it was basically like an office in the back. And it was a company called Lasan Pappas. And they basically dealt with juice. They did juices and cranberry sauce. So spoiler alert, Ocean Spray and Walmart Great Value was the same juice with a different label slapped on it. Like all that stuff is the same. They just slap a different label on it. So I was doing well. I was doing really, really well. But what happened was I started getting promoted, and in them promotions, I stopped thanking the Lord and praising the Lord for elevating me, and I became prideful. And I said, you know what? I did this myself. And we all know what happens after pride. I ended up getting greedy. They opened up a new Target warehouse in Swedesboro, starting off at like $27 an hour. I said, oh, I'm only making like 23 here. I'm going to go there. How many of y'all know sometimes the grass is not green on the other side? I went over there and I hated it. And I went back to my other job and I'm like, hey, can I come back? And they're like, listen, you left for money. Who's to say you're not going to leave again for more money? So they wouldn't hire me back. So at this point, I got really, really, really depressed. And I'm talking about that depressed where you want to just stay in bed. You don't want to talk to nobody. You barely want to eat. You don't want to do anything. I'm looking at TV and I see ads for, oh, you may have social anxiety. That's what I got. I'm going to the doctor. Give me a pill. I believed every lie of the enemy because you know what? Once you walk through these doors, your life will never be the same. And I realized that I had a calling on my life. And when you have a calling on your life, the enemy is going to come for you. And you got to be aware of that because he started not only attacking me spiritually, but mentally. I literally thought I was losing my mind because I knew the right way to go in life, but I continued to do bad. And that really, really messed with my mental to the point where it was like December 14th of 2022. I was drinking. I was doing Lord knows what else. And I was in my car and I just said, you know what? I don't have no purpose. I don't have no kids. I'm not married yet. Like, what am I here for? I was ready to end it all. I called my mom. I said, listen, mom, like, I'm done. I don't want to be here no more. She's like, pull your car over. So I pulled my car over. I look up. It's a sign this is a dead end. So I'm waiting there. My mom gets there and she's like, something's not right with you. So they end up taking me to a mental hospital. They thought I was having a nervous breakdown. So I went to the mental hospital. They're like, all right, it's late at night. We're going to process you. We'll do the rest in the morning. Wake up in the morning, like 6 in the morning, to this lady sticking a needle in my arm. And they're like, all right, you can go in the free area. When I tell y'all, when I walked out of that room and I experienced true mental illness and what those people were doing to each other, just like literally spitting in each other's face, smacking each other, like they had literally lost their minds. And that's when I realized you didn't lose your mind. You were going through a spiritual battle. So there was an issue with my insurance. They said, hey, we can't find your insurance. You've got two options. You can pay out of pocket or we can let you go. And that's not something they usually do in a mental hospital. You're there for evaluation. Like they don't let you go. So long story short, by the grace of God, they let me go. My mom picks me up. She said, I'm not taking you back to your house. You need to do something. So one of my jobs, odds and end jobs, was delivering for Amazon. And I would deliver out here on, I think it's called Schooner Landing Road or whatever it may be. Um, they had like some camp. It was like a 30-day camp. Yeah, they had like a 30-day camp. And I forgot to mention, when I stopped taking the pills because I couldn't afford them no more, I started drinking this stuff called Kratom. That kind of gave me the same high. And that stuff was so nasty. But I was just chugging it to get that high. And it same withdrawal effects, everything. It's horrible. So I was on top of that, doing all that. So I called the mission. I said, hey, there's a place out on, what is it? Schooner Landing Road. It's a 30-day program. Is there any way you guys can give me the number? Charles Hope answered the phone. He said, oh, give me a minute. I'll call you right back. I get a call from Taylor Box. He said, you're not doing no 30-day program. He was like, come on back to the mission. You did okay the first time. We're going to take you back. My mom in the background, oh, he's ready. He's ready. I'm like, oh my God. So long story short, I came back to the mission. But when I came back this time, I really like dug down deep. What I talked about when I was 8 in the Boy Scouts, I was able to talk about that in counseling and like release that because that had a hold on me for so long and it was almost like a crutch. You know how when somebody asks you if you're okay and you're like, yeah, I'm okay, I wasn't okay. And that was something that was deep in the back of my head. And when I was able to release that and let that go to God, and it freed me, man, that was like the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders. So when I came through this time, I really took it serious. I said, no matter what it takes, Lord, I trust you that you've got my best interest. And I was telling Aaron, I think it was yesterday, I didn't come in here expecting to graduate the program. I said I needed 30 days. I don't care if I came to Mission Teams, I'm only doing 30 days. And here we are 3 years later. So, I mean, long story short, you do not know the plans that the Lord's had for you. And people talk about doors opening. Listen, I graduated the residential program this time. I said, yes, I'm staying for staff. I stayed, I did overseer. Listen, y'all pray for your overseer. It is challenging. When you're pouring out so much, you got to continue to be filled and you got stuff coming from this way, that way. Overseer was one of the hardest, most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. And there's no paycheck that could ever amount to you seeing people's lives change through Christ. Like that was the best thing I've ever could experience through my time here at Mission Teens. But then I got done my staff training commitment and I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and not do my own thing, but like the next step. So I wanted to go in the Air Force. I'm back in the medical field now. I want to be a nurse. So I'm like, all right, Air Force will pay for my schooling. I'm in contact with the recruiter. Long story short, I'm supposed to go take my practice test. And this is all around the time that Miss Kathy passed. And I said, you know what? That's a sign from God. He said, don't go nowhere. Just stay. So I ended up staying for my ARD. And I talked to Taylor and he's like, you know what? You can go to nursing school here. So then that was the next plan. I applied to Cumberland County, got accepted into the nursing program. But they're like, oh, you're technically not in Cumberland County, so you won't receive all the funding, but you're accepted. That ain't gonna work. I don't have no income. Like, that's how you know that wasn't the door opened by God. So I'm still pursuing. I applied to Salem County, where we are. Got accepted, picked out my classes, was supposed to start. About a week and a half before classes were supposed to start, Taylor asked me to pray about going to North Carolina. I got on the phone and canceled classes that day. That's when you know the Lord is opening doors, but you don't have to try that hard and it's just like, here you go. This is the next season of your life. So I just encourage you guys to just take your counseling serious. Get those things, those childhood trauma, whatever you're going through, get it out in counseling. That's what these people are here for. Get healed while you're here. I realized that when it says your life will never be the same and we're hope for the desperate, I realized that I had to hit rock bottom to realize that Jesus was the rock at the bottom. Amen. All right. Thank you, guys.